We're good. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming out this evening. My name is Bryan Jones, and I am president of the Rensselaer Black and Latino Alumni Group. It is my pleasure to really be able to bring this event here tonight. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. We're here for the BLAG Entrepreneurial Fireside Chat with Sherika Wynter, class of 2007, co-founder and CEO of Thomas & Winter Research and Development, Tote. I also have beside me Makenna Noel, NSBE RPI President. But for those of you who are not familiar with the Rensselaer Black and Latino Alumni Group, also known as BLAG, we pretty much got started in 2017 after the BSA 50. We realized that there was definitely a need to get alumni involved in basically trying to connect us all, connect with the students, connect back with the campus, connect with faculty and staff, right? So a big part of what our purpose is really to, support the alumni, but also support the students and also support the faculty and staff. We kind of all work together. We're all part of this close-knit community where we need to support one another. And so really, some of the important things that we try to focus on our organization is, academic excellence, cultural diversity, equity and inclusion, network building, career development, and another big piece, which we're going to focus on tonight, is entrepreneurship. So as I've kind of been, and others, we've kind of been building this organization, I've been able to see a lot of different alumni, a lot of different people who are doing a lot of great and big things. And Sherika Wynter is definitely one of those people. And I just said, wouldn't it be great to have an event to get you, exposed, get you some exposure and everything like that. And so that's why I'm really happy that we're here today. But before we go any further, I just want to thank our sponsors, really. So part of the reason why we're here today is part of the RPI Office of Alumni Engagement. Definitely have done a great job. I'd like to thank Dawn and Bryan. You guys have both been definitely stewards in helping this organization grow, so we really appreciate it. Also like to thank the Rensselaer Alumni Association. I know we have Michael Zach here, and then also Megan, who's the president of the Rensselaer Alumni Association, have definitely been supportive of this organization. We have the RAA, I'll just mention, also has an excellent feature called the RAA Connect. Does a great job of connecting it specifically just for RPI alumni, right? So it's basically like a LinkedIn, but for RPI alumni. So you have the opportunity to filter, find other people within your network. If you're doing stuff like entrepreneurship, this is a great way to definitely keep in touch with everybody, right? So just kind of to take you a little bit through about what's going to happen tonight. So tonight we're going to have just a bit of a conversation, what we call Fireside Chat with Sherika and Makenna and myself. And, then we're going to cut over a little bit for some question and answers. Like to say hello to everybody who's out there in the virtual world. Appreciate everybody logging in tonight. If you're interested in asking questions, you can go to alumni@rpi.edu. If you email your questions in there, we'll get to you. But I guess without further ado, I kind of want to give Makenna an opportunity to introduce yourself, if you wouldn't mind.
Hello, so my name is Makenna Noel. I am NSBE RPI's president, and I am a senior studying computer systems engineering. A little bit about me. I'm originally from the Bronx, New York. My family is Trinidadian and Haitian, and it's a pleasure to be here and to have this opportunity to interview with you. NSBE as a whole, our mission is to support and help our students develop academically and professionally so that they can achieve their aspirations in whichever field that they go to. We have a collegiate chapter as well as a Troy High School chapter. And a lot of our workshops are catered around academic excellence, professional development, so resume building, elevator pitches, And we have a conference towards the end of the year that we all go to, as well as we recently had our first hackathon. So we have a lot of really fun events catered towards growing professionally and academically, as well as socially bonding together. So I'm very grateful to be here to be able to talk to you, Sherika.
All right, excellent, excellent. So I guess without further ado, I'd like to kind of, again, present to you Sherika Wynter.
Y'all
You
so
know,
formal.
class of 2000, well, you see me in my suit. Right?
I see you.
So,
I ain't get the memo.
so just to give everybody, you know, I went to school around the same time as Sherika, so I'm class of 2000, just a little bit about myself. I'm the class, Bryan Jones, class of 2009, civil engineering major, currently work for New York State Office of General Services and Division of Design and Construction. You know, brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, definitely a member and have been on e-boards, BSA, NSBE, Alianza Latina, SHEP, you name it, the whole gamut. We did it all.
We did.
We did it all. We did it all. So really just hopping into, because I don't want to give away, you know, I mean, we see these beautiful bags over
Right.
here, we give all this, but for those of us who don't know you so well, I guess really the first question that we want to kind of ask is, who is Sherika Wynter, and, you know, what is this whole TW Tote, Thomas and Wynter Research Development?
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm Sherika. Class of 07. We used to do like this, like 07, all the way. So shout out to 07 out there. I majored in mechanical engineering while I was here. Graduated 2007. That was 17 years ago. May 19th to be exact. Back then we used to memorize when our graduation was when we came in as freshmen, because we would hold a pact with each other and say we'd stay. So May 19th, 2007. From there I went to work as a project manager in acoustical engineering, and then I went to my master's in industrial design at the University of Arts. From there, I feel like that's when the stock market went real bad, like bad. And I remember working for like an insurance company, doing something random. And then I got a job to be a project manager down in DC. And I remember saying to my dad, I might just come back. And he's like, if you want to come back, just call me, right? And so I moved to DC. I have the family down there. Only person I knew down there, two people actually. Marzel Jones, class of 06, and Andres, now Scott, but was Williams there, class of 09.
Class of 09. Go ahead. Sorry.
So we went down there, made a good little family, and I went through being a project manager, a scrum master, eventually got into product management and product development. And then 9 years ago at this point, my co-founder, Shalin, had an idea. He's like, yo, can you help me out with this? And I was like, no. He's like, no, seriously, can you help me? And I'm like, no. And he's like, you just help me. And eventually I was like, sure, I'll help you. He's like, we should start a business. I was like, immediately, no. And we just kind of went back and forth for a while. But I said to him, if we were going to do it, we need to be an R&D company, because I always wanted to work for Procter & Gamble. I just am fascinated by the company. And I was like, we'll start an R&D company, and that's where Thomas and Wynter R&D was started, with the thought that I can have as many brands as I wanted to underneath that parent, similar to Procter & Gamble, and eventually I wanted to be the Black Procter & Gamble. And so I decided to build the company off of the back of that. And since then, we've had 4 different brands. We also have a consulting arm. And TW Tote, which is a 1 to 4 day travel company, is one of the brands of Thomas and Wynter R&D. And so that's where we are. TW Tote, which you guys see, turned 5 on December 6th of 2023. So we definitely beat the statistic that 90% of businesses or small businesses die after the first 5 years. So there's that. I'm also doing that full time, which is crazy. It's a madness in my head. But being a full-time entrepreneur, but I also teach product development and product strategy to enterprise. So the Johnson & Johnsons of the world, Disney, Fannie Mae, Sallie Mae, whatever they are, they've probably taken a class from me, as well as entrepreneurship to PG County in Maryland. So that's who I am. But I really like to watch a lot of TV, reality TV, to be quite frank. I spend a lot of time watching a lot of TV and traveling. Those are the two things I like to do. So, yeah, that's pretty much who I am.
Got you. So you mentioned traveling.
Yeah.
Just gonna kind of switch gears a little bit. Where do you feel like this business and everything that you've had to do so far has kind of taken you traveling? Because I know when we spoke, you know, some of what you have to do as far as like manufacturing and everything like that, you know, this is a global economy.
Right.
So where has your travels taken you? You say?
Okay, so in my early 30s, I used to spin this globe and just see where it would land and just go there.
It's Carmen San Diego.
Just spin it and go. So I've been to the Galapagos, I've been to Alaska, I've been to Zanzibar, I've been to Bali, I've been to Singapore, I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to Egypt. Like I just spin and go.
And is this on business or personal or both? Or?
Both, right? Like so, I got invited to speak about product development in Singapore, and so I made it a Hong Kong, Singapore, Bali trip, right? I got invited to present product management in Switzerland, so I just went there and went to the Alps while I was there. I just came back from Spain. One of my advisors for TW lives in Spain, but then we went over to Italy to visit one of my manufacturers and material designers over there. Because we manufacture in Italy, we used to manufacture in Istanbul, so I went there as well, Vietnam and China. And so a part of the job is going to see our manufacturers, feeling the material, picking the material, designing on site, and just making sure there ain't no little kids or, you know, bad treatment going on in the facility. But I try to make whatever business trip somewhat a personal trip as well, like at a stop somewhere. But my travel bug was when I was younger. I mean, my parents we used to do cruises as a family every other year. And then when I turned 16, as a sweet 16 gift, I guess, my parents said, "Do you want to have a party or you want to go to France for 6 weeks?" I'm out. So I went to France for 6 weeks, and then I could convince them to throw a 17 party. Like, you know what I mean? I got 2 for 1. Shout out to Daddy for that. But so travel's been my thing, but the business has taken us some really cool places, and being able to manufacture in all those countries has been a blessing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, you know, I want to kind of talk a little bit about, you know, because I don't think everybody understands necessarily what it takes maybe to make a bag. You know, you talked about like, oh, we're doing this and that, and you talk about it so eloquently, but, you know, maybe for those who may not be, because we got a lot of students in the audience or what have you, maybe you can kind of talk about how does your product kind of get from you to your, you know, to your customer.
Materials of Science is a very interesting class. I took it 3 times. The first time I failed, the second time I got a D, and the third time I got a B. And I was like, I'm good, I don't need nothing more than that. So I know a lot about materials of science. And so technically what we'll do is, usually my business partner comes up with an idea. Something, he's a dreamer, he's a creator, that's just what he does. And he's like, we should do this, for example. So let's say TW Tote. He used to go to work with a suit and tie every day. And he's like, I'm carrying my lunch in a plastic bag, this isn't it. I was like, you said it, not me. It is what it is, right? And so he's like, we can't do this plastic bag thing anymore. I'm like, what's on the market? And at that time, you had Igloo, you know, white, red top. That wasn't sexy in a suit. And then you had Tumi, which was out of our price range as young professionals. So he's like, yo, we should make our own bag. I was like, here you go again, right? And so what does that look like? You go online, of course, you see what's there, and in some cases you might order everything that's possible because you want to touch it, you want to feel it, you want to deal with it. And then you just draw. And I'm not talking about like CAD drawing, I'm saying just sketch out what you would like to be sketched out. And what he does then is source manufacturers, so he'll put together a tech document with our sketch. And then he'll go and source people, to be quite frank, he has a lot of people that he talks to. This is not my side, right? So this is all about COO stuff. I don't do this, but I'm giving you a general idea. So he has a group of representatives and or middlemen that he talks to about who could possibly do this. And they submit their bids, and he looks at their ratings, and then we go into materials. And so one of the things that we do, we only use vegan leather, but we use the highest grade of vegan leather. And so in most cases, we might have to go and feel it or have them send us a sample of it. And then we have a sample made. It usually takes about 4 to 5 weeks to get a sample made and shipped back to us. And then it goes through about 6 to 9 months worth of testing. What does that look like? For the lunch bag, for instance, he carried it for 6 to 9 months. I'd have him leave food in it overnight to see if it would hold a scent. We would leave ice in it to see how long the ice could stay frozen or not. We can keep things cold up to 16 hours, and we can keep things hot up to 8 hours. And that's all about the dual insulation and the things that we worked on from an engineering perspective. So we would order a bunch of insulation and test them. We order a bunch of materials, we test them, and then we test that product for 6 to 9 months. Then we get another sample with all the changes that we like, and that stays for about another 6 to 8 weeks or so. And then we choose functionality over form. And so we'll release one color, in most cases a black on black, just to see whether or not the market likes it. And we usually have maybe about 100 pieces. And then we spend to market and advertise and do all those things. And then we have our Maryland facilities where we house all of our products. So once they are finished being made, which is usually a 4 to 5 week process, we send our international QA team on site, and they do a QA inspection of all the bags. They tell us what's wrong, what's right, what's whatever. Then our freight forwarder picks up those bags, and it's either air freight and or ship. It gets to the US borders, it goes through customs, we pay our customs fees, we pay our tax fees, and then it comes to us in Maryland, by which we do a second round of QA on all of our products that arrive in order for me to be able to talk to the manufacturer if it meets our 3% of damage or defect. If it's more than that, so then we submit a claim. If it's not, then they go on the shelf. And then they're prepared to be shipped. And so any product could be anywhere between 12 to 15 months from the idea state of we should do this to the point that it gets out to someone to purchase.
Okay. Excellent. So that's a process.
It's a process.
Give a round of applause for that.
It is a process. But yeah, I think the best part of it is just interacting with the materials, right? So for instance, vegan leather can be made out of polyurethane, it can be made out of recycled cotton, it can be made out of fruit leather. So one of the things that I've been looking into recently, when I went to Italy, I went to a fruit waste manufacturer to see the different type of fruit leather because I want to move our company into a higher level of sustainability. And so it's testing out those pieces. Well, some of them last 2 years, some of them last 10 years, some of them can take the sun, some of them can't. And that's the fun part, where it's like, okay, what can I break, right? At the end of the day, I'm still an engineer at heart, so I want to break something. And usually I don't get to break as much as I'd like, but most times I do. But that's really the best part, is making sure that our quality as well as the functionality gets put into place. And if we find something that's really cool, we file a patent or trademark or something to kind of keep it, together. But in most cases, most designs you can't patent. Like you can do utility patents, but you can't do design patents. They're kind of weird. But that's the process.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Makenna,
Yeah.
I don't want to certainly not hog up all the questions.
So I definitely want to know more, especially about your mechanical engineering background as well. Especially, you said how you use that background for your business now. Were you always planning on being a mechanical engineer in the beginning?
No. In the beginning, I wanted to be a graphic designer, and my mom said, "You're good, but you're not that good." So she's like, "Don't do that." Then I was a tinkerer. I like to play with stuff. And my parents decided, "Why don't you study engineering?" And I was like, "Sure, ? Whatever." I didn't really know what it was. I'm from the Bronx. My parents are from Jamaica. I knew what engineering was, but I didn't know what it encompassed. And I just knew that engineers would play with things. And so RPI gave me the opportunity to come and play with things, right? Didn't know what I was signing myself up for. I will honestly say, let's put a hole in it. I want to shout out a couple really important people in my life while I was here. Shout out to Ms. Farmer, of course. She's huge. Shout out to the homie Daphne. Rest in peace, Jeff Fryer. That was my homie. Rest in peace, Mark Smith, Dean of Students. I'm sorry you guys did not get to experience Mark, but Mark was a homie. And I would say those 4 people shaped who I was. I remember when I got here in June of 2003, and I took my first introduction to engineering analysis, because they used to do summer classes. I was a HEOP Bridge student. First test, this is cool. I got an 80, I can do this. Second test, there's 4 questions. Any test that has 4 questions is not made to be passed. Question 1, I have no idea what that is. Question 2, if you change this to this, this is how you would solve it. That's what I did. I said, if you change this to this, this is what you would do. Question 3, never seen that in my life. Question 4, this is the formula. I don't know what fits in there, but this is the formula. And I packed my stuff and I left. And everybody looking at me like, where is she going? And I went back to my room and I was like, I'm straight. And Jeff called me. He's like, are you having a mental break? And I was just like, I'd rather you think I'm a fool than know I'm a fool. I don't know nothing else on that paper. Why are we wasting time, right? And I remember packing my stuff and going back to New York. I was like, I can't make it here. This isn't it. And I remember my father and my mother saying, you're going right on back. And they put me right on that bus and sent me right back. So I did not know what engineering was. I say that to say I didn't know what it was. So I didn't plan to do it. But I'll never forget my sophomore year, second semester. I was already behind. And my guidance counselor, I don't remember his name, but I will find it out. He looked at me, it's the first time I ever met him, and I wanted some guidance, and he's like, you're not gonna make it. It's like, you won't finish on time, you're too far behind. And I was like, excuse me, what? He said, there's no way you're gonna finish. You should change. I had a couple of profane things to say. And I left, and that stuck with me because I was determined at that point to graduate. And you need 128 credits to graduate still? I had 156 when I crossed that stage. I had 28 extra credits than I needed to because I said, this man ain't never gonna get the satisfaction of knowing that he told me I wasn't gonna get out of here on time. At some point, I was just like, I want C for complimentary achievement and D for diploma. I don't care what y'all give me, I'm trying to get out, right? Like, I went out. I remember when Ken Durgan, shout out to Ken Durgan, Dr. Durgan, shout out to him as well. He's like, you wanna go to grad school? Absolutely not, I'm tired of being here. Like, what don't y'all understand? I just wanted out. And I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just knew that if I had this degree and it was this hard to get, I could do something. And I wanted to be an interior car designer. That's what I really wanted to do. And I got offered a co-op at Toyota. And I was like, co-op? That means I'm staying longer? No, I don't want it. Like, I started to, and I was like, I want no parts of staying here longer. I'll figure it out when I get out. And I got out. I was the only African-American woman to graduate with a mechanical engineering degree that year. Got out. I say that to say we have to be very careful with how we talk to students. I just happen to be negatively motivated, but some of you aren't. And I think it's careless of guidance counselors and professors and people, and I don't know if that still happens here, because it happened to me a lot, where someone would write on your exam, like, clearly you don't know what you're doing, right? Or just like, I remember one teacher asking my friend, are you special ed? Like, just straight nonsense, right? But you really can shape someone's future by the things that you say and the power of the tongue. So shout out to you, sir, for telling me I couldn't. Period. Holla at me. Please. But no, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to design cars. I wanted to work for Lamborghini. And I remember applying and my mom being like, you ain't going over there. I was like, damn, all right, fine. It was in Italy. Yeah, I still don't know what I want to do. Does that sound bad?
No,
it doesn't. You lying to me, I know it doesn't. In this big age, I should know what I want to do by now, but I don't. I just knew I needed to get out of RPI.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but I kind of felt like if I could make it through this, anything could be possible if I got through this. So yeah, I mean, it definitely helps, 'cause I call on it now, especially with your science. But yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. So.
Yeah, no, I think a lot about what you were talking about, and I think that's a really big part of why this organization is here, and why we're definitely like connecting all the people and partnering with the school, partnering with other alumni, partnering with the students. You know, there's a reason why Makenna's here, why you're here. I saw so much similarity, you know, the NSBE thing, the West Indian thing. Like, this is just you, Makenna, like
Don't
a
aim
couple
so low.
couple
Don't say
of
so
years later. You know what I mean? So, I mean, of course, you're gonna have your own individual past, but
Yeah.
I just say that to say that it kind of it takes a village. It takes a village, right? To definitely do that, and that's one of the things that we really definitely want to try to do with like entrepreneurs. You know, we want to support them. We want to do like it doesn't just stop when somebody graduates. You know, that's why we're here today. You know, why we'll be giving away some gifts
We will be.
later on.
Yeah.
So thank you for all those who attend, because we like to reward support, right? Because Sherika's then going to come back and give it, you know, give it back to y'all. And that's kind of what we wanted to do, is try to create some motivation. So I guess in the name of motivation, you've had a lot of partnerships,
Yes.
right? So, you know, not to get all celebrity kind
Cut it out. Cut it
of
out.
status or what have you, but you know, I think like you have some stuff with Capital One.
Yes.
You've rubbed elbows in the Google circle,
Yes.
the MBA
Yes.
circle, All-Star Weekend.
Yes.
You were just at All-Star Weekend, were you
Yes,
not?
That was.
Okay, so why don't you, I guess maybe, so, you know, why don't you talk a little bit about like partnerships,
Yeah.
right? And what does that do for you, and the importance of it? What kind of
Yeah.
partnerships have you had?
So, thanks, Bryan, for putting it all out there.
Oh yeah, no problem.
We definitely have partners like Google, as you said, Capital One, the NBA, law firms. Johnny Cochran Law Firm is one of our clients. What does that do in the long run? Because we are a B2C business, so a business to customer business. But what we really want to reach are the affluent professionals between the ages of 25 and 45, and they work for these companies. And so when I get in partnership with this company and they say, hey, I would like to purchase 700 pieces. Awesome, what are you going to do with them? And they're like, we're going to hand them out to our employees, right? And so now I've touched 700 potential customers who then experience the bag. Oh, I like this. And so you know what they do? They go and buy a bag for somebody else, right? And so having partnerships increases my brand awareness tenfold. I would never get to all of them in one sales cycle, but allowing for that really helps. As well as when you have certain celebrity partners or basketball-based partners, our newest one is like Monumental Sports in DC, so the Wizards, the Cap One, the Mystics.
Something light.
Something slight, you know. But when you have those, a lot of people believe in your brand even more. Like, my bag is nice, but it's not nice till you see D Wade with it, right? And it's not nice until you see Baron Davis with it. It's not nice till you see, you know, these people with it. But in addition to that, those people empower no other people empower, right? And so the Players Association for the NBA gifted my bag to someone in senior leadership at Bacardi Doucet. And the next thing I know, Bacardi Doucet is in our inbox like, hey, can you make something for us, right? And so it's just a trickle-down effect. And so if you invest, and I tell people all the time, invest in having your brand look bigger than it really is. And from the outside, people are like, man, that's an established brand. And you just gotta be ready to execute when they call. Sure. I would say most orders, I'm never ready to execute. And when I say that, it's like, oh, can you get us 700 pieces? Most definitely. I ain't got 700 pieces. I ain't got that, right? But I ain't gotta know I don't have it, right? Like, you figure it out. And you go through there, but you put yourself out to be big. If you make yourself small, everybody's gonna be like, oh, it's a small company, they may not be able to handle it. But these partnerships have been pivotal for our growth and just kind of making room for us in this very specific space. So, yeah. I'm trying to get RPI as a partner. I'm not trying to hold y'all. Every single last one of y'all get a book bag when you come in here with that laptop in it. And so that's what I'm coming after, the book bag. I'm just putting that out there. Hi, guys.
And so that's when I'll kind of get on my little soapbox and pat myself on the back a little bit, because one of the things that, you know, and speaking with the RAA and speaking with everybody, it just seems like we should, like I said before, we should be supporting our own RPI people. Like, why are we going into an RPI store and we don't have RPI-made products from an RPI entrepreneur? So, reached out to Dawn and Bryan and said, hey, can we set up a meeting? And so we did. So we did set up a meeting with the bookstore. Sherika got on there and said, hey, I think I want to put you on. Let me help connect the dots, you know? And that's one of the things that this organization is going to be able to do, is we really are going to take all these other brands and try to get them in. So I'm proud to say that, you know, you're in negotiations right now.
Yes, I am.
So I just handed her the rock. Of course, you know, because another big thing about BLAG, we're a family, right?
For real.
We are tight. I don't know. I've met some of the students. You guys are pretty tight. When we were going to school, we were, I mean, it was a tight community, you know, like nothing was going to stop us. We worked hard during the week, partied hard during the weekend, then worked as hard as we could during the weekend again, you know, like to get to Monday, right? So that's definitely a big part of it. So, you know, again, congratulations to you. Yeah, no problem.
No, honestly, Bryan definitely is doing amazing work for us. And just, I didn't even know this was here. And so when Bryan purchased a bag for an event last year, and I remember waking up for an email, he sent me like 3-something in the morning. I was like, Bryan must got kids. Why is he on this? Like, it's just like, it's like he's like, yeah, you know, I need 2 bags. So I was like, what are you talking about, right? And that was the beginning of the conversation. So thank you, Bryan, and thank you to everybody else out there, class of 04 through now. If you've ever bought, hyped, liked, subscribed, I appreciate y'all so much. And it's so crazy. Because we went to Gene, class of 06, his birthday party, and we all gathered in like an Airbnb, and everybody had a TW book bag. I've never felt so proud a day in my life. I was like, look at it, they all got one. So thank you. I really appreciate that, Bryan. I really do.
No doubt.
Definitely, as you remember building that community, what was that like, especially since you had such a hard time with RPI and getting support from faculty who should have been supporting you? What was it like building that community with other Black students on campus? Are there any events, initiatives that you remember the most?
Most definitely. I mean, Bridge HEOP was the start. You guys don't have that anymore, do you? Well, let me explain what that was. Basically, they took a bunch of inner city kids that performed well inner city, but weren't sure if they'd perform well outside of inner city. Because if you're from New York, I did really well in high school. I got here, I was like, I'm dumb, right? Like, I don't understand how this works. But they took us here 2 months in advance and told us to do classes here so that we would just assimilate better. And so that was my first family. And because you just kind of drop together, it's like college starts in June. So that's who we stuck with. But one thing that I know the alumni and upperclassmen did was, like, when you had freshman orientation, they were there, right? Like, and they were just like Pokemon grabbing this one and grabbing this one. It was just like they're just grabbing us all. And you had Ms. Farmer, you had Daphne. They were just like, we're all here. Come. And we had like the Office of Minority Student Affairs. We had that building. That was our building. And we would just hang out there during the day. And then we had the Black House, and we'd hang out there at night. And this was back where, you know, you could keep your apartment or location, and so we'd have just rows of wraps in apartments, and they would just pass them down, right? And so it was kind of like we just became distant cousins, and it was like everything we have is y'all's, right? Like, you know, I don't know if they still have it, like some of the frats, they had like all the old exams. we would start collecting exams, right? And we would just be like, oh, don't take that class with that class, because that's silly. Take deep listening, that's an easy A. That was my favorite class, okay? I don't know if y'all still have it.
Yep.
It was deep listening 1, 2, and 3. Mastered them, right? Like,
Mine in deep listening.
listen. I was just sleep. But anyway, like, we would know of those unless the upperclassmen weren't there to be like, you can't handle LITEC and this together, separate that. And I think even when I was talking to you, Makenna, I was like, I gotta come back, because there were people that would tell me, don't do that, don't do that. And we weren't allowed to get lost. Like, if I didn't come to class, or if Daphne didn't see me at least once a week, you alive? Like, you know, like, you just weren't, there was no, back then we were children, right? And they took us in as their children. And they were like, none of y'all will get left behind. And so you didn't have a choice but to be in community. And when I say that, I literally mean they would come knock on your door. Upperclassmen, faculty, whoever would just be like, what are you doing? Get on up and do what you gotta do. So it was ingrained in us. We didn't know anything else. And we were taught and bred positively to do that for the next class that came in. So we wouldn't have made it without the community at all, right? Like, sadly, I've learned some really good skills from the community and stuff. But yeah, the RPI, I hear, is different now. Like, I always tell people, I would do RPI all over again with the same people. Like, just drop us back and we'll be just fine. Because to this day, my closest friends are still the ones that I've met here. Those are literally family to me at this point, so. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. As my wife sits over there,
Right.
that I met at RPI.
You met at RPI? Class 07? You know what I mean? Yeah, we just, I don't know what, I wouldn't have stayed if it wasn't for the community. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna start to wrap up for questions. I got just one more question for Sherika, if that's all right. So, you know, we talked about, in the spirit of kind of passing along information, you know, there's a lot of people out there right now who are probably debating whether they should start a business or, you know, like fearful, because it's not easy. You know, you're putting a lot on the line. So what would you say, you know, are the, you know, kind of the challenges of starting your own business, and, you know, what do you recommend to those people who are, I guess, you know, thinking about going into it?
Entrepreneurship is not for the sane. It is only for the insane. If you believe that you're coming into entrepreneurship because you're gonna own your own time or you wanna work for yourself, that's not real. It's just not. Like, while yes, CEO, great, sounds good in theory, I report to the customer, I report to the board, I report to the staff. Like, I don't run my own time, right? And so I would say, if you're gonna start your own business, you gotta really understand your why, right? Like, I'm in this not because I don't enjoy making bags or whatever, but I want to build a company that when Makenna or whoever comes out, and you go to career fair and you can't find a job, now you can come over to Thomas & Winter and I'm gonna give you one because somebody needed to give me one, right? Like, that's what I want. I want my manufacturing plant in the next 3 to 5 years so that I can have these satellite facilities that I can hire everyone that I want to hire. And that's my why, because there are going to be times that you're not going to be bringing in revenue. There's going to be times where you're not going to see customers, and you're going to have to go in your own pocket and figure that out. And if you don't know why you're doing it, and if it's simply because I want to be my own boss, and I put that in quotes because it's not real, you won't make it. It is not for the faint at heart. I will say that for the first 5 years, TW never gave me a check. We paid everybody, and I never got paid, right? And that's because you're building something, and you need your designers, and you need your photographers, and you need your manufacturers, and you need all those people, and eventually you will get there But if you don't have the stamina to say, I can do this without seeing results for X amount of time, don't do it. Don't do it. I also don't really sleep. I would say an entrepreneur's life is 12, 14-hour days, right? Like, if that's not what you want to sign up for, don't do it. Because what you see on TV, what you see on Instagram, what you see, that's not real. And most people, if they're selling you a class of how to be an entrepreneur, I bet you they're not an entrepreneur, because I ain't got time to make a class and develop it and market it and do all that stuff and still be an entrepreneur. Like, no, when I teach, the curriculum is given to me. The syllabus, everything's given to me, and I can just kind of, use my experience. But it's a nasty world out there. And would I do this again? Absolutely not. I would not. This is a crazy man's game. But I'm so far in it that it's like, I gotta keep going. Like, you just gotta, it's been a good ride.
In too deep.
Right, you in too deep, right? And there's too many people rooting for you. Mm-hmm. I hate that I am so negatively motivated. But I've had investors, I've had people in our first 2 years being like, y'all not gonna make it. Okay, Buki, don't worry about it, sweetheart. And we make it happen. So I would say motivate yourself. Have a foundation, have a family to support you, whether the family you're bred into or born into or the family that you make. And just know your why. And that'll keep you going. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. Can we give a round of applause for Sherika? All right, so now we're going to kind of work the room for questions. So if you have a question, we have Bryan from the Office of Alumni Engagement. If anybody has a question. Oh, is the mic on?
Is the mic on?
Oh, my name is Ruben. I'm a senior.
Hold on for 1 second. We get the mic on.
Hello.
There you
All
go.
right, there you go.
Perfect. All right, so my name is Ruben Abel. I'm a senior computer science major. And I just had a question on, I guess your transition from working in like an industry type environment into moving into entrepreneurship, like how that transition was. If there's anything you faced particularly, or like that you wanted to return back when you started, like just like feelings involved.
Yeah, I was blessed to have companies that I worked for that I could be honest with them. And so I would say I wasn't an output-driven employee. So it wasn't like I got a 40 hours. It was more so, what are my outcomes? What am I providing? And so when I started the business, I was able to go to them and say, hey, I got another business going. This will not affect my productivity. And if it does, let me know. But I need to kind of get some space. But that was after me proving that I could manage the work that they're giving me. And the more the company grew, the less I really was involved. So the last job that I had, when I went on board with her, I said, I will come on board if you teach me how to run a business. You have a business, you teach me how to run a business, and I'll stand up the product shop. And we'll meet, and you will mentor me because I have this business. She was like ballsy. I was like, are you in or not? Right? Like, and so from the beginning, it was, I'm telling you where I'm at, and I found companies that supported my dreams as long as I kept my end of the bargain with them. And so transitioning out was an interesting one. My contract was coming to an end. We were working a contract with the NIH, and I was talking to one of my advisors, and he was like, you should just stop doing that. I was like, first of all, you don't know my money. Let's start there. And he was like, no. I feel like you're wasting talent. And he was like, and I'm going to pray that you don't win that contract. And I was like, don't involve the Father, right? Like, what are you doing? And he was like, yeah, just, you ain't got to do this. This is not what we doing. And I'm like, that's wild. And that was in April. I wrote the contract myself along with two of my colleagues. I was the longest standing person there on that contract. This contract was a shoo-in. When I tell you this was ours. We didn't win the contract. We lost the contract by 4 points. I don't know what happened, but I called my advisor and I was like, I'm gonna need you to stay about these prayers, right? And we all were faced with, well, what are you gonna do? And at that point, I was like, I'm not gonna find another job. I remember my mom being like, you're not gonna what? And I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna do the TW thing. She's like, excuse me, what? I was like, I got it. And the owner of the company then, her and I sat down and she took her ownership hat off and she's like, let me just talk to you. And we talked about my finances. We talked about how much trajectory I had. And she said, while I would love for you to stay with me, you have to go. And she said, my daughter needs to see examples of other women who have done this outside of me. And she said, if you need an investment, you let me know. If you need a handout, I know you don't like them, but I will give you a handout because I need you to do this. So I was like, not only do I got people telling me I need to go, I got people praying that I can't even get a job. This is wild. And that's how I transitioned. I didn't want to transition because I was managing them both really nicely, but again, the tribe was like, nah, you wasting time. And I got out, and I will say since then, the business really has taken a straight up trajectory, having me be there full time. So I can't say I planned for it. The people prayed and got me lost. But I will say I was smart enough to meet with counsel and say, can you manage yourself? If you can't, let's not do this. But if you can, what's the worst that could happen? Another advisor said to me, the worst thing that can happen is that you go back to work. Because I'm smart, you know what I'm saying? I'm important, you know? And I don't say that lightly. I do believe I'm really smart.
Graduated from RPI.
What you trying to, you hear that? Now, I graduated less than a 3.0. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise, okay? I barely got out of here. I was on academic probation at one point, right? Shout out to my dad for hiding that from my mom. That's my guy. But I'm smart. And so the worst thing I can go, like, I'm gonna say this and I hope this doesn't hit anybody the wrong way. As a Black woman engineer, somebody's gonna hire me. And then when they find out I'm smart, it's even worse, right? And so I can get a job. What's the rush? And now I don't really need it, right? I miss the money, I'm not gonna hold you. But outside of that, it's like, the worst that can happen is that I gotta go back to work. So, that's it.
Hi, my name is Noli. I'm a sophomore mechanical engineer.
Woo!
So knowing all like the successes, all the failures that you kind of went through up until this point, what is something that you would do differently in the past?
Oof. What I would have done differently, like in life in general?
Yeah.
I probably would have had less self-doubt. When I got out of RPI, RPI made me question if I really was smart. And so I had to repair that. And so I probably would have not allowed that to get to me. Because I definitely think that slowed me down in a way. But outside of that, I don't really have any regrets. But I'm a pretty risky person, right? So I live life saying, I can't have any regrets. So outside of that, it would be self-doubt. I don't, oh, I have another one, I'm sorry. I do know what it is. Full transparency, I allowed my professional life to develop a lot faster than my personal life. I never balanced the two. I didn't date the way I should have. I didn't, go out the way I should have. Daphne and Ms. Farmer will tell you the type of person I was, and it ain't this. I should have balanced those better, because when I got to like my mid-30s, because we're past that, when I got there, I realized that I was still maybe a 20, 21-year-old in my personal life because I just never paid it any mind. And so I had to do a lot of therapy and a lot of work to bring up that part of my life. So I would have changed that.
I guess like a follow-up question I have, what advice would you like give to us as, Black engineers?
First of all, don't let nobody up in this building tell you nothing about you can't make it. Let's start there. Stop underestimating yourself. I say this, I don't even know if I can say this online. I always say, have the audacity of a mediocre white man. No offense. And I mean to say, our Caucasian counterparts are they have audacity, right? They will ask for things that it's just like, what's the worst you can say to me is no. And I think we, in so many ways, are sheepish or don't believe that we should have it, or you don't ask with enough confidence that it's believable. And it's like, just have the audacity and 10 toes down, straight face, right? If you want that job, ask for it. If you want that salary, ask for it, period. Somebody's gonna give it to you, right? Just have that audacity. I would say that's what you wanna do. And also balance your life. Bryan talked about doing class during the week and party on the weekend. He's lying. We party during the weekday, okay? Let me tell you something. We would have all day water gun fights. I remember us sending out emails when we shouldn't have, sorry, to the listserv saying, we ain't going to class today. Today is a water fight day, and if we see you outside with your book bag, we wetting you. We don't care if your laptop's in there, we don't care anything. No one's going to class today, right? Don't listen to me. I remember turning the hose on, and we opened wraps, building it, just wet up everybody's furniture. Like, that's the type of time we were on. You have fun while you are here. Nobody cares about what happens. Like, I've been asked about my degree once. Like, my first job, he was like, where'd you go to school? I was like, RPI. He's like, what'd you study? I was like, mechanical engineering. He made me bring my diploma to him. You know why? Because he tried mechanical engineering at RPI and couldn't finish. And he was like, the fact that you finished, come on in, I got a job, right? Once I brought the diploma.
You're hired.
Right, you're hired. I couldn't do it, you was gonna do it. But after that, nobody cares, right? Like, my cap and gown look just like everybody else's. I had a blast, right? But so enjoy it. You can take risks now. Get over a 3.5 or Miss Farmer will tell me that it's a bad idea, but 2.5 is fine. No, just enjoy it. Don't grow up. Don't be in a rush to grow up. Believe in yourself, have the audacity, and have a good time while you're here. That's the biggest piece. You're protected here, so have that to follow.
Ryan, I don't know if we can get a online virtual.
I think that gentleman right there had a question while we wait on that.
Yeah, so we got time for one more question.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's only one other, Nelson was our only other, guy online, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think this will be it.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Marcus Brown. I'm from Yonkers, New York, and I'm a dual aeronautical engineering and mechanical engineering.
Yeah, shout out to the BX. Okay, I'm from Eagle and String.
A little background. So my dad is Black, he's Jamaican, and he's a lawyer. And in 2015, he started his own law practice. After 9 years, it's still going strong. And so one thing he instilled in me as a kid was to start my own business, like be an entrepreneur. But this was long before I chose the discipline of engineering. So my question for you is, like, what differences have you seen in engineering entrepreneurship as opposed to entrepreneurship in other industries?
I think it's harder in engineering. Well, depending on what type of engineering, right? Like, nowadays we're in a tech move, right? So everything is tech. But we forget that 63% of our economy is physical products, right? And so I would say for us, we make sure we remind people we're research and development, which makes us more of an engineering and design company. And in that, it perks ears, but it also causes some level of, I doubt it, right? Because the big boys are there. And so I would say the only difference is, especially after the fall of many businesses and the PPP loans and all that other stuff, there's less confidence that there's a real business right now. And it's a little harder for you to get contracts as far as these partnerships or just even people to buy. So that's something you just have to look out for. I would say join forces with someone or subcontract or try to brand partnership with a bigger company in order to boost yourself. But I think that's the hardest thing, is just having people believe that you're legit in a world of a lot of illegitimate and counterfeit businesses. But outside of that, I would say shout out to your dad for 9 years. The hustle's probably similar. It's just the environment that's receiving it that's a little different. So, yeah. You're welcome.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody, for the questions.
Okay, so we have some raffles here.
Yeah.
Put you in charge of that.
Gotcha. Actually, I'll hand that over to Makenna, and I think so.
We're gonna raffle off the book bag first.
Yeah.
So that's one of our book bags. It's pretty cool. It's like a book bag and a camper at the same time. So you can kind of roll this up, turn it into a camper, and it can kind of, the buttons back there. Hold your laptop in here. It can charge your devices in here. So all of that is here. So clearly, don't be upset at me if your name don't get called. I don't have nothing to do with it. It's all on Makenna at this point. So we're gonna raffle off this.
I got a name.
You got a name?
Miles Fortuno.
I think. All right, Miles. That's all you.
Yeah.
You gotta get another name.
What else you got?
The laptop folio. So
Before you pick, Makenna, let her, kind of show the gift here.
she laughing. She don't know. So this is a laptop folio. So you crack it open. It opens up to trifold. So you can put your laptop in here. You can put your iPad here if you want. Your paperwork can go here. Your ID, whatever you want, up here. Close it up. If you want to just carry it by itself, it has a little strap so you can just kind of move your way through that. You know what I mean? Just move your way through it.
The interior, I noticed you got colors on the.
Yeah, so each one of our standard color, if it's a brown, the interior is going to be red, because red is one of our colors, as well as one of the main colors of the island of Trinidad, which is my business partner's hometown. Okay.
And not to,
Trinity.
and not to hold up the gift raffle anymore, but your colors of your bags, I think, have a lot to do with, your heritage and everything like that. So can you just talk a little bit, because I think that's another really important, unique piece.
Definitely. Each one of our bags are named after something in the Caribbean culture. So this is a ginger brown. Everybody knows ginger. We have guinep, we have sorrel, we have tamarind, we have callaloo, we have mero, which is off of Black Sand Beach in Martinique. And so a part of our business model is just infusing the Caribbean culture into everything that we do. And so everything is named after something in the Caribbean. Yeah.
So, Ruben, it was
You literally got the laptop.
Thank you so much. I knew I was going to do this.
He took his laptop out like manifestation.
All right. This is also?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a RPI and the umbrella. We're throwing in the umbrella too. All right.
will go out to Carla Perez.
There's your umbrella and your stage run.
Stage
welcome.
right.
You're
You can
very
put that in
welcome.
that little pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, again, in the spirit of, you know, kind of really just reinforcing about like what we've been talking about today, I'm going to throw in one more gift raffle, so it's not over yet. We don't have the product here,
We'll ship it to you.
but we'll ship it to you. So since everybody at RPI and all of us professionals, we do have a laptop, you know, what have you. We have one more name. And before you read that name, again, really the purpose of this is just really to reinforce the fact that we're here to support Sherika, right? She gave back to y'all. We give back to Sherika. It just keeps going. Right? Y'all gonna build your business, come back here, sit here, and give back.
Y'all gonna call
That's
me.
what this is all about.
We're gonna feed your business. You don't make the same mistakes I make. And you'll be back here. So that part, we don't want to skip that part. Don't act like you know it all, please. All
So
right.
this is the BLAG raffle. Go ahead.
Osborne McKay.
All right.
I'll just get your information and we'll just ship it.
We'll get that information then. But that's an alum, so excellent. So just in closing, again, thank you everybody for being here today. Again, BLAG, we are really, really making a lot of big moves. This is the first Fireside Chat that we've done, but it's not going to be the last. I definitely look forward to hearing from other entrepreneurs that we have out here, and we want to get them in those seats, and we want to support everybody that we possibly can. This is an organization, we're looking to have our first official elections coming up this spring, so please stay tuned for that. We also really want to see everybody back here for homecoming. We're trying to bring everybody back. This is RPI celebrating 200 years. Black and Latino people have been a big part of that. We need to make sure that we're represented. We need to be here in force. So we're going to be putting together some stuff. And yes, so please make sure you look out for that. Continue to support this organization. I see another entrepreneur back there, Jamel.
What class is that? Okay now, I just want y'all to know that we're here.
From
All right.
Collective Effort. So again, thank you everybody. Thank you Sherika for making the trip out here. Thank you Makenna for putting this all together. Thank you RAA. Thank you RPI, Alumni Office of Engagement. And I guess everybody have a good night. For those of you who are here, we're gonna network. We're gonna have some food. We're gonna have some drinks. So thank you again, everybody.